Good evening. My name is John Gogliettino. I'm your host of Danbury Democrats, and welcome to the show. We're going to be talking to the candidates in the 2nd and 3rd Ward. Mary Consoli is the first victim, so to speak. We're going to be talking about her candidacy. Then we got Carol Thibodeau, also her running mate in the 3rd Ward, and then we've got Kirsten Kovacs-Hardy. I put that middle name for the people to recognize the name. She's running in the 2nd Ward. And so welcome to the show.
Thank you, John.
Okay. People out there always have the first question is, how do I know these people? I've seen them on the street. I've seen them at the mall. I've seen them in church or whatever. So starting with Mary, tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, your connections to Danbury and such. And
we came down in 1974 when my husband was transferred from Boston to New York, and we settled in Danbury because of the cost of living. And we've raised our 2 children and have formed our life. And this is our home that we've established since 1974. I started working at Danbury at 1974. I retired in
Danbury
2000
Hospital.
At Danbury Hospital.
Okay.
Yes, because we're being
well,
the
somebody
only
may
hospital
not.
here.
Yeah, somebody
Yes.
might have thought you're working for the city. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Danbury Hospital, and I retired in 2000 from bedside nursing, but then I took over presidency of the Danbury Nurses Union for 16 years. But I've been active all my life in Danbury. We started it started in 1980 with working on Lynn Tabersak's campaign when we didn't have water in Pleasant Acres. I was president of the Pleasant Acres Homeowners Association. And then when my children were at St. Gregory's, I was active in the Homeschool Association. In fact, I was president of the Danbury Parochial Basketball League for many years. I've been active with my nurses union as a union representative. I've been a legislative liaison, and at my church for St. Gregory the Great since 1996. I've been chair of our Faith Community Nursing Program. We conduct blood pressure screenings. We now have an Aging Mastery Program, which I'm very proud of. We're into our 2nd term, and I've been a leader all my life working with all these organizations.
Very distinguished career, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was happy to be recognized for my nursing career by the Connecticut Hearst paper in 2015 as one of the top 10 nurses in Connecticut. And in 2017, I was recognized for my community service by Danbury Day delegation. So I was very proud of those 2 awards.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Carol.
Hi. Well, I come from old Danbury families, okay? The Soteros, the D'Alessios, the Novellas, and I could go way back. I was born here, raised here, went to St. Joseph's School on North Street, went to Danbury High School when it was on White Street. And then I didn't venture too far for my college education. I received my bachelor's and master's at WestCon, and I taught at Broadview Middle School for 27 years.
God bless you.
Where I was known as Mrs. Tibb. And my husband, my late husband Ted, was also a teacher for 35 years at Haystown and Broadview, and also, I guess it was called Main Street School before it became something else on Main. And basically, I've raised my family here. I've lived in Danbury all but 6 years of my life when my husband and I lived in New Milford. And I have a vested interest in the city. Not just being raised here, but raising my daughter here. And right now, I'm actually substitute teaching in Brookfield, and I also have a hand in home health care. So I'm very active. I was endorsed for this campaign by the Working Families Party, by the AFT, and also by the Western Connecticut AFL-CIO. We are a union family. I come from blue-collar workers, and we also we were raised with the work ethic, if you will. And
And you do that every day.
I do that every day, and I plan on doing it as long as I possibly can. It's who I am. I can relate well to a lot of the problems people are having. One of the reasons that I am where I am right now, what I'm doing, is also because of the unique problems and issues that seniors are facing in Danbury. And I did run for public office before, 1989 and 1991. I ran and was elected to the Danbury Zoning Commission.
Oh, okay.
Yes. There were a lot of neighborhood issues I wanted to get involved in. And basically, that's me. I'm very, very close with my family. I'm very family-oriented.
And you're very supportive of family members.
Yes.
Including Chris Otero.
Yes, you could say that. Yes, you could say that. It's a mutual support system we
Yes.
have.
Families are like that.
Yes, families are. And, Chris was raised with the same work ethic, and I won't go into how hard he works as a candidate. I think we all know, but that's him.
Right.
Okay, that's our family. And
this is you.
And this is me, yes.
So,
thank you, John.
You're welcome. Kristen?
So John, thanks for having us on the show. I grew up in Bethel. I went to Bethel High School, graduated from Bethel High School, and my husband and I moved to Danbury, I'd say about a little bit over 25 years ago. I got my bachelor's degree at West Con in history. I have a master's degree from Sacred Heart in education, and I have another master's in education leadership from Southern. I taught social studies for 16 years at Newtown High School, and loved every minute of it, loved being a teacher, but then decided that I thought I could give more, not only to the students, but to the teachers. So by helping the teachers, I would help more students. So I went into administration, and I've now been at Bunnell High School as the humanities department head, and I oversee the English and social studies department there. Bunnell's in Stratford.
Okay.
So I've got an hour commute every day, each way.
But it's a job you love. So.
I love my job, absolutely love my job. And I must tell you, I do miss being in the classroom. I love what I do, but I do miss being with the kids every day. I, at one point, served on the Commission on the Status of Women. Actually, Mayor Araquez appointed me to that all those years ago, and I chaired that for a while. I got involved in politics, working on campaigns. I think my first campaign was helping out Jim Maloney, and that goes way back, too.
That was a few years ago.
That was just a few years ago. Let's see, what else? I volunteered for the Women's Center on and off for the last 20 years as a domestic violence, sexual assault hotline volunteer. So that's also been a great passion of mine. So here I am as a candidate for the first time. I've helped a lot of people, including Chris on his last campaign 18 years ago. So I'm excited to be serving as a candidate myself.
Very good. Now, after all these years of doing different things, the question is going to be, why are they doing this? And are you having fun doing this also when you're campaigning? So, starting again with Mary, tell us why you're doing this and whether or not you're having fun at it. Going door to door and talking to different people. I don't like the road here, or whatever their complaint is. So, go ahead.
I'm running because Chris asked me, and at first I said no, and then he came back and he said, well, think about it, and I did. And as I sat in North Street Main Street, trying to take a left turn onto
the
Garamella Boulevard.
The traffic.
I went through I sat through 4 sets of lights. And I think that I said, all right, if I'm going to change things, then I better take it into my own hands. Because I've been a leader in all the organizations that I've been involved with. And I said, well, we raised our children here. They went to private and public schools. And if I'm going to make a change, then I better put my money where my mouth is. So I told Chris, yes, I would run. I've enjoyed meeting the people. I've enjoyed being their advocate, because I've had a lifetime of advocacy. I learned it from my mother and father. They raised 8 children, but while they were raising children, they started a baseball league in the town I grew up in and conducted a carnival. So that's the background I came from. Also, community service oriented and activist. And many people, when they heard I was running, they said, oh, I figured it was about time that you would get involved. I said, well, now that I'm retired, and I put that in quotes,
you have the
that
time.
I have the time. But I have enjoyed talking to people and hearing some of the issues that they have, and it's varied from very personal issues to more issues that are citywide. One of the issues, and that many people have brought up, is the speeding. And I know that there's limited numbers of police officers on the traffic patrol. And I had a very interesting meeting this morning. I went to the Coffee with the Cops and asked, I said, well, what about the speeding? And they said they're aware no one goes 25 miles an hour. And when they are assigned, sometimes they get calls to come. One of the areas of concern is on Great Plain Road, near the corner of Dixon and Great Plain Road before Taylor Farm. Right there is a hot bus stop and a school bus stop, and people go flying by there. So we have to look at that.
You got that specific issue. We were going to talk about the police later, but
that issue really has to. Was asked by a couple of the residents that are along that road.
Okay.
And their corner is a cross between the 2nd and the 3rd, so it affects not just the 3rd ward.
So that's one of the burning issues that you've come across. Okay.
That's been brought up to me, yes.
Well, we'll get into it a little more later on, but right now we'll go on to Carol. Why are you running? And
I'm having fun.
And you're having fun going door to door. Tell us about the fun you're having.
Well, I love meeting people,
Okay.
and I've always been an extrovert. But I do, as Mary said, I'm very interested in what concerns them, okay? Primarily, why am I running? Because I don't like what I've seen happen the past 18 years in Danbury. I've seen an incredible amount of growth. Growth is good, but I haven't seen a plan for this unbridled growth. It has put such a strain on all of our public services, okay? We've just mentioned the police. It's put a strain, an incredibly horrible strain, on education, on traffic, on roads, more, all right? It's put a horrible strain.
We're going to talk about the roads.
Okay. With absolutely
Like
no plan for it, okay?
Right.
I've done some research, and I have found that there have been in the past, not in this administration, but in others, and in other cities and towns, agreements that the mayors, if you will, have made with construction companies, with builders, okay? Okay, you're gonna put X number of units, but in return, you are going to help us with the roads, or with this, or, instead of having all the growth negatively impact our residents. But that takes planning, that takes forethought. This is like blind construction, and if you will. So that bothers me. Mary said about the traffic. We all sit for an inordinate amount of time waiting, and the gridlock.
So you're getting, as you're going door to door, people are giving examples.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to
Yes.
get into the specifics about the roads and the
Absolutely.
police.
So
and
that's why I'm running. And as Mary
Yeah.
said, if you're disturbed by what you see happening to your city, there is the avenue
it's
of
a motivator.
exactly to get involved in politics and make a difference. And that's what I'm hoping to do.
And you're knocking on those doors, and they're
Knocking on those
and they're all
doors.
telling you about this stuff,
Yes, they are.
because it's promises.
Well, someone
Yeah,
asked, what's your platform?
Why?
I said, my platform is what the voters are telling me. Their issues.
It's interesting.
That's mine.
It's interesting. On the mayor's posters, while you were talking, I wrote down "people over politics." Anything but. We've had promises, and the promises not kept, and then we have people over politics, and then we got these deals again and again, which we'll talk about later. Okay, go ahead, Kristen. Tell us about why are you, and what are you finding in your initial door-to-door
Well,
work?
so just going back a minute, so my family also goes way back. The Kovacs family settled in this area in the late 1800s. In fact, my great-grandfather had a vegetable farm on Golden Hill, and he had a little cart and, horse and cart, and he used to go up and down Paden Road selling vegetables. He saved enough money so that my grandfather, his son Paul, was able to start a construction company, a sand and gravel company. And in fact, Paul Kovacs, they put in all the roads that are now crumbling in this area. So our roots go deep, and I love it here. And I too felt that we needed to do something to make a difference. Things are in disarray in a lot of ways. For me, education is probably what really brought me to this point. Being 169 out of 169 school districts, and per pupil spending is appalling. And I just can't even imagine why we're there, how that can possibly be.
It's even more appalling to a teacher who knows what happens on the inside.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These teachers are working under such stressful conditions, 32 kids in a class, a lot of learning needs, and certainly I could go on about that. But I'm also Chris Sotero's treasurer, and he is very persuasive. It took about 5 days to convince me to be his treasurer. We'll just leave that at that.
Okay.
And I got to think
the
about
easiest,
it.
Not the easiest job in the world. Being
Oh,
a treasurer.
no, it's not. I'm counting to the end of the treasurer days. But I started to think about it and talking about change and how we needed to bring change to Danbury. And I thought, well, if I'm going to talk about it, I need to be a part of that change. I need to do something to change. And so that's why I'm here, and I am having a blast. I love being at the doors. It is so much fun talking to the voters, and people are so enthusiastic and excited to be able to vote for Democrats again.
And then they're happy to see you there.
It's really, really going well.
Could I just say one quick thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been in other campaigns. I've run for office, plus I've helped Chris and others in the past. I have never been a part of, or seen a slate of candidates such as we have this year, okay? The energy, the motivation, the camaraderie, we're like family. We're like one big family. And I think that says a lot to the main goals that we all have, and that's to make a difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good point.
And I'm very proud to be part of it.
Okay, we're moving along here on that. So let's hit the roads wise. We already hit a little bit on the roads, but what are you hearing the most? I've heard that. Well, we got some roads being fixed, but it's like at the end. And what's the matter, Mr. Mayor? You don't think we're going to notice that you're doing this in the last 3 months of the term? That you're putting in fixing some roads. But meanwhile, all the other roads have been like that for years while you're running for governor. Is that what you've been hearing?
Yes.
Well, it was just the roads are potholes. That's what they're saying about. And then the time it takes to get from the 3rd Ward, say if you do want to go over to Mill Plain Road or get through the city traffic, is unbelievable. It takes you 20 minutes to a half an hour to get from one part of the city to the other.
That's true.
And if you go, depending on the time, is how you take a circuitous route around the city. And it's the roads. And one of the areas that were brought up off of Pocono Lane is the turning into the Pocono Lane from exit 8. And they would like not a turning light, but a turning lane, because sometimes people come off, and if they're going right into that development, into that area, they're afraid people are coming up behind them and will hit them. They have a turning lane near Volvo, and they'd like one back at the Pocono Lane, and that was one of the things that they've brought up. And as Carol mentioned, people say, well, what's your platform? And I said, well, I know what I want to stand for, and I mention it. But I said, I want to hear what you want to hear. Because I said, I've been an advocate all my life. I've been able to work with people, and I want to bring those skills to represent the 3rd Ward during the city council meetings. And I think I could do this, because I have a history of advocacy and working hard for what I believe in.
Okay. Let's put it this way, because the time is running.
I'm sorry.
Out of the issues on roads, education, police, what are you hearing the most?
Roads.
Roads is the
number one.
Number one. The roads are terrible.
I have literally, I haven't counted the number of doors I've knocked on, but I've been going at it for months. Roads number one, for sure.
And it's not just the paving,
well,
but also
it's the condition of the roads, number one. They're crumbling.
Yeah.
If you come over to my house, you will see, okay? Half the road is it's crumbling. And every year, they come and patch. And the patch goes away, and then you have bigger holes.
Right.
And God forbid if you're walking your dog or something, and you can't see the holes, okay?
Right.
As, happened to me once or twice, you have a problem. But the thing that people are saying, I have a, funny little thing, one voter said, could you please put my name and address on Facebook? I heard you go on Facebook, and could you give my address and, about my road? And I said, well, I could, but why do you want me to do that? Well, she said, it just seems every time Chris Sotero or one of the candidates mentions something, the mayor turns around and fixes it. So maybe he would come here if I complain and it's advertised. Bottom line, roads number one, education a very close second.
And that's that came out in the news that it's 169 out of 169. Could you explain that again?
We should be ashamed. It's awful.
Kirsten?
Sure. And I would just say about the roads very quickly. My grandfather's probably rolling in his grave right now as he looks at
he had nice roads.
Yes, he had nice roads at one time.
Yeah.
We are again dead last in per pupil spending, and I don't know why that happens. The mayor cuts the budget request every year, and the schools, as you know, they just had another 350 students that suddenly appeared on their doorstep. I find that very difficult.
Like they didn't know about that in June.
I find that very difficult to swallow, to be honest with you. But and back to what you were saying about the teachers, and you can't work under those conditions, not well. And I know that they know that there are kids falling through the cracks in their classroom because they can't get to all of them. And it's just, the city deserves better, the kids deserve better, our teachers deserve better. I just don't understand how we let it get this way. But I will say one thing. I think what will make a big difference is having a Democratic mayor with a Democratic legislature, local legislature, state, and a Democratic governor. And Chris says it all the time. He will be the chief advocate, the chief, lobbyist. We don't need a paid lobbyist.
Right.
Exactly.
And I believe that. And when I say that to people, when I'm out knocking on doors, they understand that. And it is definitely the big roads and education, big issues.
Okay, we got about 2 minutes left.
Okay.
So why don't we give a telephone number and an email so voters that are out there that want to contact you in the 2nd and the 3rd ward,
Sure.
they can contact you. You're in the 3rd, Mary. So
Yes, well, I have a email that I use for the campaign. It's
Okay.
Consoli 3rd Ward at gmail.com, and they can call me 617-519-1401.
can you repeat that?
617-519-1401, and Consoli 3rd Ward at gmail.com.
Carol?
Right. My email is caroltib, TIB1, at AOL.com. And my phone number is 203-482-5803. And you're welcome to call or email with any questions, concerns, whatever.
Same
And
thing.
it's, so for me, it's hardyk746 at gmail.com. And my phone number is 203-733-6707.
And you repeat it again?
203-733-6707.
Okay. I guess that's it. They're sort of like waving me along. We got less than 30 seconds. We can't say too much. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for
Thank you for
having
having
us.
us,
Thank you
John.
for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thanks to the voters out there viewing us. See you next week, same time, same station. And good night.